This is my 9th generation iPad, and I have been using it for the past week and a half, and I love it. I love it so much that I actually decided that I wanted to get the full experience of an iPad on it like I have with my Pro with a keyboard. So I went out and bought the 2 best keyboard cases that I could find, and they were expensive too, so I have a lot of hopes for them. So this is $160, this is $150. They are both very expensive keyboards, especially when you think about it, because the iPad is only $330. So is it worth buying a keyboard case? Is it going to improve my experience? That's what I'm going to find out. So these are 2 very different keyboards, though. This is the iPad, the Apple original smart keyboard cover. I have never actually used this design of the keyboard cover. I've used the Smart Keyboard Folio for the iPad Pro without the trackpad, but the first time I'm using this one, so it'll be interesting to try it out. And then there's the Logitech Combo Touch, which I'm actually very excited to try out because I've never really had third-party Apple iPad keyboard cases that I really like, because they always felt like they were lacking, especially because they didn't have that kind of smart connector connection. You know, they had just the Bluetooth connection, but with this, you get the smart connectors to hook it up. So that's something I'm very excited about. Not only that, but you get a trackpad, you get a backlit keyboard, which even the Apple case doesn't have, and also you get what I believe is a very detachable keyboard. Now, I haven't really used this, so I don't know exactly what's up, but this is going to be a fantastic comparison between the two. And given that they're almost the same price, I want to see if, you know, there's a reason why this one is able to offer so much more versus this, and if the Apple one is really worth it. So I am going to take my time with this. I'm going to go ahead and unbox them and show you guys the cases first, and then I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break and use both of these cases for a couple of hours each and give you guys my thoughts on them and see where they exactly land, because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know how each of them are going to stack up. My experience with keyboard cases has definitely been a wide spectrum. You know, some of them have been fantastic. Some of them have ended up being absolute garbage. So right now I'm going to take a look at the Apple original smart keyboard, if it will ever want to come out of the box. There we go. So let's put this to the side. That's interesting. Let me go ahead and pull this out. The Apple design, an Apple by California smart keyboard. Oh, interesting. That's weird. I didn't know it had this kind of layered design, or like terraced design. It almost looks like one of those gardening layers you'd see on hills. Go ahead and open up the plastic. There we go. Okay. And where's the keyboard? Oh, okay, so the keyboard kind of comes out like that. Interesting. So I guess the idea here is you can actually use this case without having the keyboard exposed all the time. If you just want to use it as a normal case, you can, and not have to worry about the iPad being there. That's interesting. That's a weird design. Okay, I think I'm just going to have to put the iPad in here to figure it out. So before I do that, though, right off the bat, I am a little bit annoyed with the quality, because just look at that right there. There is damage. This is the second Apple product that has been damaged for me in the last couple of days. That's very unfortunate. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but right here there's a pretty big mark from here to here on the case, which is quite unfortunate. Not a fan of that. But it doesn't impact the usability. At least that's what I hope. So we're going to keep going and worry about that later. So let me go ahead, grab my iPad and the smart connector. So there is felt right here, and of course designed by Apple in California. And then you guys can see on the hinge right here is where the smart connector lives. So on the iPad, the smart connectors are on the left side. So I'm going to go ahead, connect this up, and see what it looks like. So, oh, I guess it didn't connect. There we go. Connected now. Connected. USB accessory. Unlock iPad to use accessory. All right, I unlocked it. Now that I have this set up, I can, I guess, use it like that. Oh, okay. So it kind of opens up like this. You only get one angle. There's only one angle option possible. The keyboard does kind of dance around on you when you when you lift it up in any manner. So this is absolutely going to be unusable in laps, which is unfortunate because I think that would be a big appeal to be able to use this while it's in your lap. So let me go ahead and draw up a new note and see what the typing experience is like. This is a test note. I am trying out the new keyboard. It's not a new keyboard case, so the keyboard case from Apple, my 9th generation iPad. So this typing experience is extremely familiar. It's very similar to what the iPad has had for the longest time on the smart cases. The material is this really like harsh, what I want to call almost like, it's not even rubberized, but like plasticky with texture. Like, it's not the greatest feeling material. It is durable, but it feels terrible, and just the key travels and everything they're not the greatest. But having a keyboard is great. The one thing I'm not a fan of at all, though, as I said, is it's quite flimsy. So there's no way you're using this in your hand. And also, when the case is closed, it looks terrible, honestly. Look at that. It's like there's a tumor growing here. There's nothing protecting the back, which I'm not a fan of at all. So you have an expensive iPad, an expensive keyboard case, and nothing that's really providing protection, which is unfortunate. It's like I'm struggling to understand that. And then let me see what happens when I close backwards. So you can use it with the keyboard on the back and not have to worry about it, but honestly, it just feels way too heavy now to be using it like this anyways. If I were to use it, I would probably just take it out of the case. It just doesn't feel that comfortable to use on the back, especially because there's that weird tumor design going on here that it's just, I can see why Apple removed this tumor design for the iPad Pros. It just does not work. And yeah, not a fan of this case. So not even going to bother too much trying to absolve this case of its sins. So let me go ahead, put this off to the side, and let's look at the case from Logitech. Now that one hopefully will change my mood a little bit, because I'm a little bit, honestly, frustrated with this case, just given the fact that it is $150 and it just does not feel right. So let me go ahead and see, how can I open up the Logitech case. There we go. So here's the Combo Touch. This looks surprisingly a lot like the Microsoft Surface laptop, the Surface Go's, or a Surface keyboard attachment. Like, if you guys have ever seen the Surface, you guys will know the keyboard attachment. It looks so familiar, especially with this like kind of cloth design. I absolutely love this. This looks so good and so clean. And in the box, you also have the second part, which is this case. And the way it's looking, I actually don't think it's necessary to run this case. I don't think you need it. I think you can just use the smart connector. Let me go ahead, the keyboard part. So before I do that, let me just show you all around it. So you do have this. The really nice thing is you have a row of shortcuts, which Apple doesn't think is important for some reason, because you're a dumb customer and you don't need that, Why would you ever want to use your keyboard for, I don't know, changing your volume? I'm sorry, I'm ranting too much about this, but I am a keyboard user, so these things matter to me, and this is just fantastic. And let me just, it's got great, decent keyboard travel. It definitely feels like the butterfly switches, very similar in feel to that. And then here's the other part of the case. So this is the more protective part of it. And this actually has a kickstand on the back. So it's got this really nice, like pretty much floating, locking kickstand, which you can use on this case. And I'm actually very excited. Before I even put the iPad in this part of the case, I want to see if I can just run it with the keyboard case, if that's what I chose to do, because that would be a fantastic like dual purpose thing. So you can. That does look like, I think it should work, but the problem will be there's nothing to support it. So that won't work. That does look cool though. So let me go ahead and put this in the case. So there is a little bit of plastic right here that I think I'm going to have to remove. Yeah, okay. So let me go ahead and slide this into the case. It is a really nice case. It has a rubberized finish around the edges. So let me just go ahead and hold up the case to you. It has this little flap for an Apple Pencil. It has no cutouts for the volume up or down, but it actually has these. It has it just like kind of printed on here, so you can just press that to the case, giving you more protection. The bottom is completely covered. The side is completely uncovered because, of course, you're going to be connecting this part of the case on there. The top has a cutout for your headphone jack. It has the microphone, and then it has the power button right there. And in the back, of course, the camera and this. And then you've got that floating hinge, which is great because you can actually just use it on its own. You do not need the keyboard for this to work, which is so cool. I am genuinely loving this. All right, so let me go ahead and put the case onto the iPad. Go ahead and bust out that kickstand. And let's open up. This is giving me some serious laptop vibes. It is like, this has pretty much become a clone of the Surface laptop or a Microsoft Surface in every way. Just like the kickstand, the keyboard, like this feels very, very much so like the Microsoft Surface Go. So I'm going to do another test note. So this is another test note. Immediately, I just love this keyboard 100 times more. This is the Logitech keyboard case for my 9th gen iPad. I absolutely think this is a much better case right off the bat. Like, the keyboard is a much nicer experience. So let me go ahead and try out some of these shortcuts and see if they work. So brightness works absolutely good. What else do you got? You got the keyboard. There's something that says the keyboard. Does that make sense? And then you've got spotlight. And then you've got the keyboard, the key brightness for the keyboard, which is awesome. You also actually get an indicator on the screen, which I didn't know. And you guys can see right here, it's actually like the keys are lit. Like under my studio lights, it doesn't look like it, but it is. Let me just hit play and see what happens. Oh, nice. So it was, I had a YouTube video open. I'm going to lower the volume so I don't get copyright striked for it. But yeah, it works. You can play pause. You can go back, go forward. It's great. I like it. This is fantastic. Of course, you've got your volume mute. There's a mute, which is great. And then you've got the up or down, which is also fantastic. And lock. And does it unlock? Yep, it unlocks as well. The keyboard on this is absolutely, at least initial impressions wise, night and day better. And I'm loving this case as well, because the best part is I can pull off the keyboard, not worry about it. I can just leave it at home if I don't need it today. I can just carry this around, and then I have a kickstand for viewing all my stuff. And when I don't need the keyboard, I can just easily pull it off and just use the kickstand in any way I want. And honestly, the kickstand is extremely stable too. Now this feels like a case that's worth $150, at least initial impression wise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spend a couple of hours with both of these cases, actually use them for their intent, type with them, carry them around a little bit, and come back and tell you guys what I feel about both of these cases. I think that there's a lot to be, discovered, and I know that I've been a little harsh on the Apple case just right off the bat, but I think that a couple more hours might give me some more clarity on what's going on. So I'll get right to it and come back to you guys with my thoughts. All right, so I have spent around 24 hours, give or take, with both of these cases, and I've used both of them extensively. Spent at least an hour and a half on each of them just typing away, and I have a lot of thoughts, not just about the typing experience, but about the cases themselves. So let me start off because my iPad is in the Logitech case. So right off the bat, the one thing I absolutely love about the Logitech case is that it pulls away and you can use the iPad just as a case. So yesterday night I was FaceTiming, and while I was FaceTiming, I didn't need this part of the case, but I was, walking around the house doing some chores while I was FaceTiming, and it just was so easy to pop open this kickstand and set it down and just do my thing while walking around and not have to worry about this. I just left it behind, and it was just awesome. It was absolutely fantastic, and the best part was that when I needed to get the keyboard back on, all I had to do was this. It was instantly connected, and I'm good to go. Like, nothing else I have to do. I love it, especially because of the smart connector. Not having to worry about a Bluetooth connection was amazing. And then we move on to the typing experience, which I absolutely loved. This keyboard is fantastic. Just the way it types, the tactile feeling, the sound the keys even make, I really liked it. Everything about this everything about this keyboard and even the trackpad are fantastic. The trackpad is a great addition. Honestly, having gotten used to a trackpad on my keyboard now, it's impossible to use one without it, which I'll talk about later when I talk about the Apple case. The backlit keyboard does get really nice and bright enough for environments that are dark. Right now, you can barely see them because of the lights in the studio, but it is just an amazing keyboard, and I absolutely love the shortcut keys. I was using them constantly for changing out brightness, volume, and especially media control. It was absolutely great. The lock and home button is also great because this iPad does not have the swipe up. Usually it doesn't have the little bar at the bottom, so it's just so easy to hit this little home button, this quick access shortcut, and it's just awesome. The case also, it feels really nice. It is this kind of cloth, but really durable cloth type material. It was great. And all in all, and of course there is the little flap for your Apple Pencil as well. So all in all, this case has done nothing but impress me. This 100% earns its value in terms of price. At $150, I think this is the best case you can buy for this iPad. It's absolutely great. And I love everything about it, except the weight. This is an extremely heavy case. It really just does make this iPad really heavy to lug around if you're going to keep the keyboard attachment on all the time. If you're ditching the keyboard attachment, you're going to be a lot more comfortable with this case, especially if you're just walking around with it or if you have it in a bag. If you do have the keyboard attachment and you're lugging it around all day in your hand, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable after a certain point. But most keyboard cases are super heavy, but this feels quite, this is laptop level. This is like more heavy than a MacBook level, like almost as heavy as a MacBook Air level of heavy. So that's the one thing that I don't like. Everything about this case otherwise is amazing, and I honestly can't sing its praises enough. One more thing that I completely forgot to mention, it does take up tons of space as a, just because, you know, you have the hinge on the back, it just on a table, it takes up a lot of space. It takes up, I want to say, about a good foot and a couple inches, give or take, of space. It's just the way it's designed. It's really stable and it's really comfortable to use, but you need a good table to use it. This is not something you're going to be able to use on your lap, unfortunately, and while I wish there was something that we could do about it, this makes so much sense as to why Apple has that kind of floating hinge design on their Magic Keyboard case for the iPad. It makes sense to me why they went with that versus something like this, even though this is so much cooler, especially since you can detach it. And once you detach it, it just feels great. It immediately reminds me, as I said, of the Microsoft Surface, just with that kickstand and how much flexibility it provides. It's actually one of the reasons I love the Microsoft Surface, is just because of that kickstand. I just wish that it gave me just as good as a software experience for a tablet as the iPad does. So this case, really, I'm just impressed by all around. So let me pop the iPad out of here and let's move on and talk about the Apple case, which while I was quite negative towards at the beginning, there are things about it I was learning to kind of appreciate as time went on, but I still think that there is a long way to go too. So this case is great if you don't want it to take up as much space on your on the table or wherever you're using it. So right now, let me go ahead and actually get this on the right way. It seems to not want to go on right now. There we go. So right now, if you do have it like this, one, it's way more lightweight. It's just almost, I want to say, half the weight of the Logitech case. It just is a lot lighter. Also, but remember, no protection on this on the back at all. And the keyboard case is just quite, I don't want to say flimsy, but it does kind of just bounce around. There's nothing that's really securing it that well. Also, you do still have this weird tumor design I have not gotten used to, and honestly, I do not like. This is not something that I was able to get used to at all. The keyboard itself, the one thing I did notice a benefit of it was that it does take up a lot less space on the back compared to the Logitech case. If you just look at it, it takes up a couple inches less than the iPad itself. I'm sorry, the Logitech case, and that's great, especially if you're working in a narrow space, especially on, say, something like a flight. If you're on a flight and you're just trying to work on one of those tiny little tray tables, this would be a much better option just because of how much space it saves you. But the problem then comes down to being this is such a limited experience because all you get is the keyboard. There's no shortcut keys, there's no functions. You got to really get good with the command and then the shortcuts from there. You really don't have a lot of other shortcuts. Not even for lock or unlock. Really, it just sucks. There's no home button. You have to do Command H every time. It would have been nice to have that quick home button toggle to just quickly tap in and out with the app. Now, I know that, I don't know. I don't know what I know, to be honest, about this case. I will say this, the typing experience on this does feel a lot more rugged. So it does feel like I can trash on these keys and never have to worry about them breaking. It definitely does just go a lot further. But the typing experience just isn't as good. As I said, this material I'm not a fan of. It doesn't feel that premium, and it honestly just is a little bit, the experience does feel lacking. So this case isn't backlit. It has none of the features that the Logitech case does. So it definitely does feel like a step down. And there's nothing that this Logitech case does that this one, there's nothing that this case does that the Logitech one doesn't. So there's not like this is providing you any special features. In the years of past, this was special because it had the smart connector and you were able to hook it up without having to, pair Bluetooth. You didn't need to charge the case. It was just ready to go whenever you were. But sadly, it's not, it's not something that's new anymore. It's just something that is a available thing on everything you do. So it just doesn't feel as special anymore. So who should buy the Apple case? Honestly speaking, I really think that you should avoid this case as much as you can. The one reason I would buy it is if you really do want this thin keyboard and you're going to be using it in tighter spaces and you really do want a keyboard to be able to type on, this is the one to go for. But that pretty much ends the kind of recommendability for this. The vast majority of people, if you're looking to get a keyboard case with your iPad, this is the one to go to because it just is so much more flexible and so much more convenient. And as I said, I love the fact that you can detach this and use it as a normal case, and then when you need the keyboard, you can just go ahead, slap it on because it's all the smart connector and you're good to go. This one definitely is worth the money by every measure of the word. So I know it's very expensive, but I think that it does add $150 worth of experience to the iPad, just because having a keyboard and trackpad really does change the level of productivity you can get done on an iPad. So I know it seems like a big investment, guys, but if you are going to be doing work on your iPad and you're considering it, I do definitely recommend grabbing this keyboard case. So if you guys do want to check out either of these keyboard cases, I will have them linked down in the description below. Go check them out. Look at them for yourselves and tell me what you guys think. I do really like the Logitech one, so I can't recommend it enough. Definitely go check this out. As I said, link will be down in the description below. And let me know what you guys think about these two keyboard cases. Which one did you like? Have you used either of these? Because I would love to hear some, user reviews, user comments. If you guys have used these cases and have had them for a longer term, what has your experience been? Do you enjoy them? Just let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on social media as well. I'll have all the handles right here on the screen, and of course, link down in the description below. Go check out all the behind the scenes stuff on social media. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.